Greetings everyone in YouTube land. This is Larry from Rushing Forward Adventures back to you. We have the Cushman cart thing over here. Haven't got a chance to unload it. I had to apparently when I put all the tubes in, I pinched the tube in this here rim, so the new tube is shot. So had to reuse one of the old Goodyear tubes. Don't know how old they are, but it holds air, and I put it back together, and so we got all four tires holding air. I went ahead and when I brought it over, brought the motor over, which it says right there, that's a Cushman Husky motor. Now, look at that clutch. That's one massive centrifugal clutch. This is actually inside here is a clutch disc, and as these weights fly out, it pushes on this to engage that clutch. Now you notice it has a V-belt on this side and the drive on this side, and I'm not sure what this gear here is. But it appears that it might have been for like an external starter or something like that. I'm not sure, but it runs right into the cam. But this is one heavy-duty motor, but from what I can gather, this may only be a 5-horse or a 7-horse, maybe an 8-horse. It's one heavy motor. It is cast iron with an aluminum head. But the concerning thing I found out, it may be a counterclockwise rotation motor, which, if that be the case, that motor, unless I reverse the direction it sets in the frame, is going to go the wrong direction. Cushman motor I am not sure. Could I possibly get this Cushman motor running? Well, I guess that's possible. The parts availability and all that stuff for this old motor, I don't know. Apparently this motor was used up until the late 60s, mid to late 60s, and then they but they also could have used a Wisconsin motor, a Kohler motor, a Briggs motor, all right, now we got some light. I know this is in the way, but if you can see this chain, motor mounts there. drives the chain. So if it is a counterclockwise rotation motor, it's going to turn this way if the back of the motor is there, or I mean the front of the motor is toward the back. So they make the transmission work in the reverse, which if it's a hypoid gear, I guess it really wouldn't matter, but it does matter. Now what I could do is run if I run the Briggs, I could put the shaft, output shaft on that end and run a drive shaft up here with a sprocket on it and mount it solid with bearings and run the drive gear that way. But alas, that's a future endeavor. So I'm going to see if I can find the rest of the components to the motor, so I can get it all over here and maybe determine what the rotation of this motor is before I go any further, because that might dictate which direction I go. Now I'm not trying to restore this. There's no way I can possibly do that. But what I do wish to do is make it at least mobile with brakes, which currently it's only mobile if it's pulled, and it got no brakes. So, which leads to another thing is getting it off this trailer without backing it into something. The adventures never end. But at any rate, okay, I'm gonna run out to the farm and see if I can find the rest of the components to the motor, because they're not underneath the tarp. Then when I come back today, we'll see about getting this off the trailer. I'm gonna lift, I always got the bucket so I can lift the part of it up with the bucket, and then I've got my motorcycle hoist that I can lift the front up. But last time I jacked up the rear end, the rear end is, there's nothing controlling the travel of the rear end from what I can notice. But once I get it out, I can determine what I got to do there. It has coil springs in the back, but they seem to be compressed. There's not much, there's suspension in the front, but it doesn't seem to be much spring action in the back. So that's where I'm at, folks. I will continue on this adventure and see where it might lead. Greetings, everyone. I'm back. Okay. Well, my suspicions were correct. I went and got the flywheel and the cover for this motor. And if you look at that arrow, don't know if you can see it, that is a counterclockwise motor. And it even has a left-hand threaded nut, which I don't have at the moment. So, now, all right, that brings up some stuff. I had to get me a bulb for my stubby light, and I got some fuel bowl gaskets for the fuelable. But there's multiple ways I can do this. I can leave the belt drive on that and twist the belt and run a belt type centrifugal clutch, or I have, which I like to try to use this massive clutch here, which has a drive gear chain on it, but I got to determine what shaft size this is. But I have two old snowblowers. One John Deere is for an old 212 John Deere, and then I inherited a Simplicity snowblower that I have no idea what it would have fit or whatever. But there's actually drive shafts on both of them. Simplicity's quite a bit longer, and I'm sure it's belt to belt. The John Deere, I think, is belt to chain, but don't know positively. So when it comes to the point where we get to that, there's options. As far as the advantage to those drive shafts is they already have brackets on them, recircs, to grease them on the pipes. So that might be an option, and that'd give me more options as far as how to mount the motor, and I could still drive with the belt and then put that on the shaft to drive the unit, which would allow me to run a generator too, because I'm afraid this motor here, even though it turns and everything, and I could probably get it running, the prospect of getting parts for it or anything like that I might need, I'm going to say is probably very slim. And this is where I'm at. But before we go much further, I still got to get this off the trailer, get it up in the air, find out what I've got, what I don't have. I don't have much. And see what I'm going to fabricate. I am going to make it shorter so that it'll fit my trailer. It's about 4 inches too long, so as you see, I had to strap up the back. And I'm going to, like I said, pick it up, but I'm going to have to figure out how to stabilize the rear end, chain it or something so that it don't just continue to drop. Either that or it's got one long travel. But okay, that's where I'm at. I will bring you back when they're a little bit further along. We'll see about getting this unloaded without hurting something. Alright, thanks for watching. Greetings everyone, Larry from Rushing Forward Adventures back to you today. Went and got my hair cut today, feel a lot better. Well, we're going to uncover this here Cushman. I'm going to have to move it around in the shop because I got another project I got to take care of real quick. Had to fix a hole yesterday in the roof of my garage where a tree branch got into it. So got my old ladders out, and they're old wood ladders I kind of inherited from my grandfathers. They were dad's, and then they were given to me, but extension ladders. And every time I touch them, I got a splinter. So we're gonna bring them in here individually and sand them a little bit, and then we're gonna put that red stuff on it, like it's on the trailer here. I know it doesn't look real good on the trailer anymore, but it's already got it in solid red wood latex stain. So that's what we're going to put on it. But with any more ado, let's get this uncovered, and I'm going to set you up here on the tripod so you can. I've already pulled the bungee cords off. It is a beautiful day today. Well, I'm sure you couldn't see what I was doing, but I was shifting the transmission back and forth, and it seems to be working. Now, it's not hooked up to the drive shaft, which if you see the gear down there, this chain runs down to that, but it's not long enough. But if you turn this, it's like in forward gear right now. See how it's turning the back the same direction. Now if I put it here in reverse, see how it turns opposite. If I turn it this way, it turns that way. This chain is stuck. You see how it's turning backwards. So, and then there's neutral. All right. There's the steering gear. Funny thing about this is it uses a lot of fine thread. So the differential must be working, because when I move it back and forth, the see how the gear turns down there. So, but sorry about turning you upside down. But see, it's got kingpins here, got coil springs, but it's got control arms here. But it's cable brakes. If you look down there, cable brakes. Don't know if you can see it, but that whole steering gear is moving. So apparently that's not tight. Yep. Moving quite a bit. Of course, this is not bolted up, which is the support for the there's a lot of stuff here that doesn't belong to this. But the reason why I think it's a service card is that right there was actually mounted to the fender. That toolbox. And the front fender where it went up over the top, which this is one, but it looks like it's been made. I am not sure. It has me slightly baffled. Can't seem to find any information on them either, as far as I mean, there's a Cushman club, but it's mainly the scooters, and it's not. From what I can see, the Midget was actually offered as a kit car, or Sears offered a kit car from Cushman based on the Midget. But it was one-wheel drive, and the chain and the engine was in the back. It had a storage box in the front, and the Cushman golf carts of this area were three-wheel, not four-wheel. Now, and their truckster was most of their trucksters were three-wheel. Now, whether this was a special that he built unit, maybe a tow unit for towing carts through on the back, through like factories and so forth. Maybe. I am going to have to all this wood frame has been added on. This is not, that was not there from the factory. And the way the fenders are done, I almost bet those fenders mount right on the wheels. So the fender that went up over the top was kind of add-on, maybe. But it's got a heavier duty differential than what I would think I would see normally in most golf carts. Don't know. Think what I have decided to do, because I am going to do this, I'm going to have to, well, they put a screw in that. Anyway, there's a mounting plate for the motor, right? This is the Husky motor is a reverse rotation motor, which puts the drive up here in the front. Well, if I run that Briggs, I got to run the drive to the back and then run a shaft up to run that gear on the front of the transmission, which in all endeavor would probably be better, because then it would put the exhaust out the side across that direction. I don't know if some of this metal is actually like what we call firewalls stuff. I almost thought this was bent. By somebody, just angle iron bent, but the way this is done, that almost looks like they did that at a factory with a jig. But it's a wild one. So that's definitely not where the battery mounted originally, because it's got a wood deck, and that looks like that metal was trimmed out. Looks like 20 gauge metal bent. But it's, another thing that really kind of throws me is if that was the accelerator pedal and those both are brake pedals, and the steering wheel is actually on this side, because it, unless that was somehow modified, it looks like it mounts to the frame right there. I don't know. I don't know why. I really don't know why you'd have double brakes, unless one is a parking brake, which if that be a parking brake, you would think there'd be a ratchet on it, or lever to help lock it in place. Not sure. But this, all this wood here is add-on. This was not factory. All right. Well, I need to get started on the other project I really needed to get working on. So for today, we got her uncovered, and there's what she is. Greetings everyone, this is Larry from Rushing Forward Adventures, back to you. Well, a little bit more on this Cushman cart. As you can see, I've lifted it up and got it on my motorcycle stand in the back, and up on a sawhorse on the front. After doing some inspection, I said in the previous video I didn't think this rear end was actually attached, and actually it wasn't. I mean, there's nothing limiting the travel, so I had to put, I don't know if you can see them, but I got tie straps around there, but it's hanging too low because the drive sprocket here that goes down to the drive sprocket down there, if you look at that angle on that drive sprocket, it's tilted too far. This transmission here does work, but as you see when I move the lever, how much it's, because it's only supported on one side. There's what would be forward, but anyway, this I'm beginning to think this was never actually completed. I think somebody got in a little deep and took all the original parts off of it, and metal and sheet metal, and tried to make something, and didn't get it completed. And now I see why Dad didn't put too much effort into it after seeing all this. I mean, look at the play in the kingpins. I mean, they're both that way. There's play in the tie rod ends. I thought this initially was wheel bearings, but it's not. The brakes, as you can see, are cable operated, which the cables, I don't know if they're all C's, but I got to take this apart and find out what the brakes, because it's not that heavy, but if I put a motor on it and so forth, then it's going to get quite a bit heavier. This it does have a differential in it, and this frame is pretty solid. This, not so much. So I don't know how much of this was finagled, adapted, or what, but I'm going to say quite a bit. I think, in all honesty, at this point in time, with the limited resources that I have, I'm going to take my time on it and do a little bit of stuff here and there, but I'm going to basically have to start from scratch again. Get rid of all this wood and so forth that was been added on, because that's not factory. That's not what was originally on it. In all, do I think I could get it going? Yes. The thing I'm more concerned with is making it safe to operate too. I mean, the steering being so loose where you got to turn darn near half a turn. Well, yeah, you look at the steering gear, look how the steering it's yes. And no brakes, which those are just basically emergency brake cables, which they may be able to be freed up. I don't know if the cables are froze. I don't think the cables themselves are froze. I think it's the levers in the brakes, and I haven't taken them apart to see how the brakes engage. I'm sure there's a wedge in there that applies to shoes. But I was looking at the drums, and I'm not so sure that the shoe is not actually mounted to the drum. And I'll have to look that over. That's kind of a neat way of doing it. But if you look at the rivets, see the rivets in the drum? It's like the lining is mounted to the drum, so it would be basically an expanding disc inside there for it to stop, which never had one apart, don't know. But this is going to take quite a bit of time. I'll continue to update you on it. It is a pretty neat little thing. I don't see any factory tags. Like, I haven't seen anything on the frame that would give me an actual hint as to what it was to begin with. This bumper, I don't even know if it goes to it. Looks like it might, but again, there's just, and this is all I could find of it really, aside from the fenders and so forth I've put away. And I guess I'm gonna have to go through the garage all over the place and see if Dad had any more parts to this. But if you look, this is a lug nut that's mounted this on there, and that's not even tight. That's neutral, or I think. Well, hard telling. Yeah, that's reverse. You can see that I'm just going opposite direction. That's forward. Well, that's a low gear forward. So this must be neutral. That's neutral. Yeah, see, that's neutral. That's neutral. But if you see how this, that's the drive shaft is in a tube, like the old cars. And so I've got to get the rear end up and attached somehow so that it doesn't droop and cause the angle on that drive gear to be so great that it can't line up with this. There's a spring here for the front of the drive. I'm assuming that that's supposed to help in keeping that in line. Otherwise, every time that rear end went up and down, that would put sideways tension on that chain. Which then again, I'm not even sure if the chain drives factory. It may have been belt drive to begin with, which would be safer and less likely dislodge a chain or throw a chain off. So, alright, well, this is getting to be a pretty long video. When I combined it with the rest of it. But I wanted to give you an update. But you see, it's got a differential there. And pipe, and then steering gear, which is not mounted really solid. Of course, I'm sure it'd help if those bolts were tight. That's part of the problem right there. Those bolts are loose. But I bet originally this mounted right straight to the frame, and this bracket didn't exist. This is what I've got myself into. And it's going to be a long drawn out project. But it looks to me like well, all right, this is getting long enough. Thank you very much for watching. More to come on this project. Not sure for sure how it's going to turn out or what I'm going to do with it, but I'll keep you informed as best I can. You have a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe, and I appreciate the comments. Have a wonderful day. Greetings, everyone. Larry, back to you here. Figured I'd give you an update. We're at the Bare Bones. This is that Cushman cart. I have got the plywood deck off of it, and this suspension in the back is not kosher. I don't know what they were trying to do. I would bet this used to be one piece and went across. But that's awful thin. That's only 1/8 inch. And then he's added this, or somebody's added this to try to compensate for it. Well, it doesn't hold anything, and then they put these bars in there, so it pretty much does away with the springs. Lets it drop too far. Yeesh. Looking it over, there's another lever here attached to the brakes, but this in here, as you'll notice, doesn't do anything. There's your brake. There's one brake pedal, and there's another brake pedal, and this is a lever that looks a lot like that lever, but it's got a grease zerk, but it does not do anything. And I'd also bet that this here is supposed to be some kind of a rag joint or something to allow this to flex when it's on a chain, but it's so rustied up that you probably can't really see it. Let me grab a light. It just looks to me like it would have been a rag joint that's seized, stuck together right now. That would make sense to allow that to move with the chain. And it's got a spring on the front of the tube. The best I can tell, reverse is 3-to-1 in the transmission, and forward is 1-to-1. Now the rear end, I tried to figure out the rear end ratio, but it's a little hard to be at two places at once. When I'm actually looking at it and trying to get it, I think it's actually 1-to-1 on that as well, which would surprise me, but there is the bare bones of the Cushman cart. So that's what I'm starting with. First thing I'll do is figure out something to do with that suspension in the rear. Then I'll try to free up all the brake levers Because see this, well now that lever moves. Ooh, and the cable does too. Okay. Alrighty. That lever is locked up. Yep, that lever's locked up on that one. Oh, that lever moves. Ooh, okay. Left rear, right front. Oh, well, I applied that too. Started dragging now. Oh well, still turns. All right. Oh, so we only have one locked up lever. Awesome. Well, that's where I'm gonna be at. There's the bare bones. So we'll bring you back when I do some more research and get into it a little bit further. But we're going to do our darndest to get this thing at least moving. So it's going to take me some time, but there we be. Thank you much for watching. Have a great day. Please like and subscribe and comment. I'd greatly appreciate it. See you today. Give you a little update on the cart project here, Cushman cart project. I have fabricated a centering link, my version of a Watts link, to keep the axle centered. Now all I got to do is make another link, but I'll probably use a parallel arm link to go forward to keep it forward. I don't have to worry about it twisting much, because if you'll notice, it has these in here that goes to this solid tube. But if you look up here how this mounts, it's got a spring there. Over there, you can't hardly see it. There's a spring there. Alright. This allows this to turn on a pivot right here. Now right now I have the gear pretty much level with the plane here. And these springs here only have about 3 inches of travel before they collapse. Now as you'll notice here, if I push down on this, you see how that Watts link's working. I did put a bushing in there and actually put a greaser in that so I can grease that. These are on Heim ends. I made tubes, weld tube, and this one here just screwed together. Had to go all right hand because nobody seems to have left hand threaded bolts, even though I can get left hand threaded Heim ends, which is what these are. Nobody has left hand threaded nuts or bolts. At any rate, so I've got it centered right now, and this is working well here. I've got it adjusted to where it keeps it centered going up and down. But as you can see, I'm really pushing down on that, and it keeps it's straight. The frame doesn't move side to side. Now this is channel iron doubled So it's got 2-inch and 1.5-inch on the inside. And don't mind the burr welds. Again, I do not have a wire welder. All I have is that little stick welder, and I learned real quick it doesn't like 1/8-inch rod, which is what this is. So it kicked my breaker about 3 times trying to weld what I could with 1/8-inch rod. But I was trying to fill this cavity. I don't need to weld the whole bar because it ain't gonna move, and it's solid. I mean, no more than this is going to carry. I don't think I have to, which later on if I need to. I made it so I could take it all apart. It's actually bolted. See, I got it bolted here, so it actually bolts to the frame. It's not welded to the frame. So if I need to later on take it off and add reinforcement there, I can. This is how we're coming along on it right now. It's turning out to be an endeavor. Another thing I found out about it, I was talking in an earlier video about, I got all the levers on the brakes freed up. They move. I got to take them apart though, and because they all drag. I don't know if there's an adjustment in them or not, but the last this video, when I release it, is going to be a collage of several videos I've taken over the last 2 weeks working on this, from the point of taking it down pretty much to the bare bones and starting over and trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it. And I can't find anything on the internet about them to really say too much. I don't think it was ever a golf cart. I think it was some kind of industrial cart. But it's an endeavor. I've been learning a lot, having some fun, some of it driving me nuts, but overall I think once I'm done it's going to have one little neat little cart. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to go back to a wood deck, even though that would probably be the easiest to do and probably the less expensive, because if you price metal nowadays, especially like 16 gauge sheets, that can get quite costly. That might be quite costly. And I could not find any more parts to this out there at the farm that Dad had. So I suspect the reason why nothing really ever happened with it is once he got it off off his trailer, off the trailer or whatever, and got it inside and started looking it over and realizing that the rear suspension technically wasn't really attached. Drivetrain was basically held by one bolt up there in the front, and then some of the other stuff. But this is where we're at today. More to come on this. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. If I do decide to make the link lever up here, I'll bring you back and maybe show you a little bit of the process of that. As always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hope you enjoy these videos. I enjoy tinkering, and this is my way of tinkering. So have a wonderful day. I figured I'd bring you back for a little bit of the fabrication stuff that I'm having going on. I fabricated this bracket out of a bracket I found, cut it out to where it fit this around in here and bolted it into place. Currently I'm drilling out holes for a lever that I'm going to cut. Don't know if you're going to be able to see much, but we've already drilled the 3/8 holes. This is going to be 1/2 inch because it's going to have a bushing in it. Let's throw on the bushing. I'm going to have in here with this spacer. So it's going to be welded to that once I get it all drilled out. So that I have a, this will be the fulcrum lever. So we'll get this halfway lined up. It'll straighten itself out. Alright, let's see what we do. There we be. Okay, it's got a 1/2 inch hole in it now. So that Ron sleeve should fit just perfectly now. Get that drill back in my drill box. This bushing's a little rusted, but so that's why it don't want to fit in there, but fits that just perfect. So all right, well, I'm gonna take my chop saw, cut that off, and then I'll have me a hinge bracket. All right, how this is mounted up here in the front is it goes to this bracket with one bolt. And if you'll notice, that bolt looks like it's loose. Well, it's not loose. It actually pivots on that, on this spring right here. It actually pivots there so that the axle can go like this. And it has a rubber bushing, or rubber bushing basically between that and this 3/16 plate that is bolted onto this angle iron. And really, that right now is the only thing keeping it from moving fore and aft, aside from my endeavor there, which, so I'm going to have to put something to keep it from moving back and forth on the back too, so that I can write it. I think it's going to be neat. A lot of work yet to go to make it writable, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting endeavor, though. That much I will say. But I got to do something with the steering because this one tie rod end is really bad. And I don't know that I've ever seen a tie rod end like this before. But if you see how much up and down movement there is to that, the ball's pretty much wore out. I'll see this or not, but here is the swing bracket that I made. I drilled this out. I'm getting ready to tap it. 1/4 inch 28 thread for a greaser. I know this is a bronze bushing, but I'm going to put a grease zerk in it to help grease it as well. If you'll notice, I don't know if you can see down in there, but the hole goes all the way through the bushing, so it'll actually put grease on the. What I'm doing, let's hope that I don't break my tap, which I tap driver here, and see if we can keep her straight. Yeah, I'm hoping. Feels like it's starting to bite. Yeah, she's starting to bite. Back her off to help clean the currently cut threads. So we put her in a little bit and then back her off. I don't have to cut really that deep because a grease zerk doesn't have, the threads are only about 1/4 inch long actually. Deep we've got it. I do believe that's deep enough. Let's grab, looks like it is. So we'll gotta hold your mouth right to get it started. Fine thread, of course. How about that? She is in there. Don't pay too much attention to the weld. Like I said, all I got is this buzz box. It's not much, but it does all right. I got her welded on there good. It is from the center to out here is 1.5 inches. Same way this direction. It has the bushing in there. I will put it on a 3/8 stud with a washer right here. And then it'll pivot back and forth with the parallel arms. But I think that's all I'm going to do for tonight. All right. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.